Good evening, it's 9 p.m. This is the India Development Debate. I'm Sandeep Gurumurthy joining you live from the News Centre in Mumbai. Joining me in Delhi is my colleague Supriya Srini. Call it the clash of rating agencies just a week after Moody's upgraded India's investment rating to positive from stable in a big endorsement of the Modi government's reform drive. Its arch rival S&P refused to play ball. It has retained BBB minus, the lowest investment grade, while maintaining the outlook at stable. According to S&P, India has a comfortable forex position now, and the economy will pick up steam in the coming months. But on the flip side, the high government debt and low per capita income are areas of concern.
Indeed. Now, S&P says that India's economy will continue to grow robustly for the next 3 years, even as it lauded the Modi government's efforts on the fiscal consolidation front. Keeping the door open for an upgrade going forward, S&P says an increase in per capita income and a reduction in the government debt could trigger a review in the future. Remember, the last time S&P upgraded India was not 1 or 2 years back, but way back in 2007. Now, what really explains the big ratings divide and what will it really take to change S&P's not-so-upbeat India view is our big story and a big debate right here on the India Development Debate this evening. And joining us right here on the show to kick off things with, we've got a very, very special guest. We've got none other than India's Railway and Coal Minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal, joining us right here on the show tonight. Thank you very, very much, Mr. Goyal, for sparing time and being with us. You are a frank chatting man. I'm going to ask you, are you disappointed that a ratings upgrade did not come in? I mean, look at the commentary is positive. I'm not going to deny that. They are affirming our reforms. But the fact that they did not give us a ratings upgrade and they continue to rate us at the levels at which we were in January of 2007, is that disappointing at all, or perhaps a little frustrating, if I may?
Yeah, but Supriya, all of us who cover the economy, look at ratings all the time, are very well familiar that it's always Moody's which is first off the mark, normally followed by Fitch, and Standard & Poor is a much more conservative rating system, which usually follows with a time lag. And I'll just draw your attention. India got a Moody's upgrade during Mr. Vajpayee's government in 2003. To be precise, on 3rd of February 2003. We got a second upgrade on 22nd of January 2004. That was followed by Fitch giving us a rating upgrade on 21st January 2004, 1 year time lag, and another on 1st August 2006, about 2 years time lag. In both cases, S&P had a longer time lag. S&P gave us a rating upgrade on 2nd February 2005, 2 years later, and 30th January 2007, 3 years later. So it's a traditional, well-known, everybody in the system knows this. We never expected any upgrade to happen so quickly in S&P. They take much longer. It's a conservative organization. We very much respect that and would like to thank S&P for the wonderful words they have used almost throughout the report. I was reading the report. I found them again and again talking about the transformational initiatives that this government has taken to rejuvenate the economy, despite not having the majority in the upper house, how this government has been able to bring about the GST tax as a reality, something most readers of the economy never imagined would happen, the fact that they've brought fiscal stability, the fact that the external position is strong, the fact that we have an ambitious public investment plan on the roads and rail sector, the improvements on the energy side, the banking sector reforms, insolvency code, NPA resolution, bank recapitalization. I mean, one after the other. There's praise for the efforts and the work that this government has done. They appreciate that we have a controlled external debt. They're quite confident that growth will continue to sustain. They have appreciated that this two-quarter blip is understandable in view of this game-changing reform on indirect taxes. And their own estimate is from 17 to 20, they are estimating real GDP growth at 7.6%, which effectively means they are looking at next year at over 8% and probably the year after that closer to 9%.
You know, I appreciate your point, Mr. Goyal, but the reason we are asking is, are you disappointed, is because one of the reasons why S&P is sort of not upgraded us, they're saying the ratings are constrained by low GDP per capita, and it's a benchmark that they use to judge all investment-grade sovereigns. The question I'm asking, a frank question, is should India be judged by that benchmark at all? Because for us to move GDP per capita, it's going to take a long time. Those are reforms that will take a lot of time. So is it unfair on India's part, on S&P's part, to judge India on the basis of GDP per capita?
I must say you have raised a very, very important fundamental issue, and this is not about S&P, it's about all international credit rating agencies. If you look at the Moody's report and the fine print in that, even there, in some sense, if you will find a discrimination to smaller economies or lower GDP economies, lower per capita economies, and that's something which is historical and traditional. Take the example of debt to GDP. India's debt to GDP is only 68%, whereas Japan is 240%. Even the United States is 104%. But we are being asked to be cautious about that, both by Moody's and now by S&P. Now at 68%, I think we are far cry better than Spain and Italy, who are also at the same rating as us in Moody's, despite the fact that we have never defaulted on our sovereign. So we have never defaulted on any of our obligations internationally. India has that pride, whereas other countries in Europe which get similar ratings to India have had default situations, not once, many times, more than once. So in that sense, the overall rating, I think, has that differentiation between the developed world and the developing world. We'll have to live with it for some more time. But the good part is that both Moody's and S&P have consistently in their report appreciated the game-changing and transformational work that we have done. They see strong GDP growth in the future. They see a stable monetary policy and a stable external environment, external profile. They have appreciated the strong democratic institutions in India. And I must compliment you also, because they have appreciated the strong free press which promotes policy stability and in a way compromise. So they have appreciated the big role that the press plays in making India achieve its objectives to create a strong framework on which this economy can grow sustainably for many years.
Indeed. Mr. Goyal, I completely agree with you that they have been perhaps a little too cautious, but that's historically how S&P has always been. Historically, S&P also focuses on the fiscal profile, and so it doesn't come as a surprise that they are losing a little bit of a sleep over fiscal deficit. They are confident that the central government will be able to control the fiscal deficit, but they're not so confident of fiscal deficit being reined in at the level of states. Is that a cause of concern for your government and yourself?
Well, while we are at that point, I must thank Standard & Poor for gauging the mood of the nation so appropriately. You will find on two occasions, while they have appreciated that despite not having a majority in the upper house, we have been able to do so much reform. But on two occasions in the report, they have talked about the number of successes that the Bharatiya Janata Party has had in the states in 2017 and the run-up to 2017. And they have also predicted that going forward, they view the Bharatiya Janata Party having more successes in the future. And I think that's a great understanding of the Indian situation that has led them to almost predict increasing number of state governments coming the BJP way. And I must assure you that I would like to assure you, and through you all your viewers, that the Bharatiya Janata Party, when it comes in the states, also brings in fiscal prudence. You will find in state after state, we have been able to improve the situation. Take Uday, for example. The energy sector reform and improvements have been in for praise on two occasions in the Standard & Poor report. And they have also, I'm sure, appreciated that, for example, Uday has helped the states improve their debt profile and improve the energy situation. So to my mind, the states, as they move into a regime which is conscious, which is focused on fiscal consolidation, are also looking at improving their fiscal profile. Other day I was talking to the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, and despite having fiscal space for borrowing more, and we were discussing some new projects, he said, no, Bhaiya, I don't want to increase my borrowing so that tomorrow the state should not be saddled with a fiscal situation or a fiscal problem. So I must say that the BJP-run governments normally are far more prudent and believe in fiscal prudence.
Just to expand on that point, Mr. Goyal, you know, S&P says, because I'm looking at levers for a ratings upgrade, because that's what all of us want, don't we? S&P says ratings could improve if reforms improve markedly as far as the situation on net government debt is concerned. So on the one hand, we have a concern with the fiscal deficit of state governments. On the other hand, there are limited there's only so much of fiscal profligacy that one can expect from the central government. You yourself told ET Now, remember a few weeks back, that the central government has been in some ways in a state of fiscal stimulus to incentivize public expenditure and to kickstart activity in the economy. So there's limited space for fiscal profligacy. So what are the levers that could lead for an upgrade from here on is what I'm trying to find out.
Well, first of all, despite all the investments and large public investments being done in different infrastructure and other areas, which have also come in for wholesome praise by the Standard and Poor, you'll appreciate that we have been fiscally very prudent. Both fiscal deficit and current account deficit have been kept under control. And India's foreign exchange position, external position, and the fact that we have maintained robust exports have also been praised by the S&P in the report, particularly considering the global situation. One of the important fiscal levers to my mind is going to be the fact that we have cleaned up the banking system. The insolvency code and now the bank recapitalization, all of these will, as the S&P says, encourage fresh lending in the business sector and will correspondingly lead to GDP growth going up, as they've predicted. The current year to 23-year period, they've predicted an average of 7.6% real growth. Another thing which I think all the agencies have appreciated, and it's something which is important for you to note, that we have kept inflation under control. So if you see the denominator of the GDP, the nominal GDP, you will find that the denominator, because of nominal GDP growth, doesn't grow very high when inflation is under control. In this situation, to be fiscally prudent, to maintain low fiscal deficits and keep borrowings under control is truly what is being appreciated by the agencies. So in an alternate situation, take the 2008, 9, 10 period, you had growth, but you also had double-digit inflation. So in that situation, your denominator was growing up phenomenally, the nominal GDP, and therefore the debt also was growing up. In our working of the Moody government, we have for all the 3 years, if you see, the Government of India borrowings has been flat at about 5 lakh crores, roughly give and take a few thousand crores. So really, while the growth is there in the GDP, which has again been recognized by the report, the borrowing increase is only at the 5 lakh crore rupee level. So effectively, year on year, we are reducing the government debt to GDP ratios, despite low inflation and low denominator.
Yes. Right. I'll take a quick question on banks, because I think the big fiscal stimulus also came in the form of recapitalization of banks. Both Moody's and S&P has given that a huge thumbs up. In fact, S&P goes on to say that this will help in credit offtake, in better credit offtake. My question is, does that also put the pressure on the government to keep recapitalizing these public sector banks? I mean, is that also an added challenge and added pressure on the government, given this works very well for ratings and for the perception of the Indian economy?
Not at all, ma'am. If you see, we have assessed the requirements of the bank for the next 5-6 years and come up with this recapitalization plan. Now, we are also provided for Basel III at levels which are even more stringent than what Europe and America follow. We have provided for Ind AS, which is the new accounting standard. We have already provided for that also. And where you are missing the point is that while on the one hand, we have ensured that we recognize all the NPAs at genuine levels, we have also factored in the fact that as these NPAs get resolved through the insolvency code and the exercise to resolve these NPLs, you will find that a lot of the write-backs will come in. So many of these banks, and I think many calculations have missed out on the fact that, for example, as the steel industry now gets resolved, so while the provisions for the steel industry may have been quite large, once the resolution takes place, a lot of write-backs will come into the system. So banks are actually poised for large lending going forward. My own expectation, look at Uday. Post Uday, REC PFC at one point had almost 20% as bank capital adequacy. So it was in a position to really go gung-ho on financing renewable energy, which we saw big growth of in the last 2-3 years. Similarly, in the banking sector, as the write-backs come in and the government supports through bank recapitalization, and now you'll also find that the numbers change. The stock values have gone up significantly. So where we had estimated about 58,000 crore coming in through disinvestment up to 52%, you will now find that we'll have much larger amounts coming in through disinvestment while maintaining the sanctity and public sector character of these banks.
Goyal, I have to confess you've done a wonderful job of interpreting this S&P report and making people realize the positive that has come out of it, even though we have not been upgraded and our outlook has not been changed. My last question to you, sir, is, the Moody's upgrade along with the Piyush survey.
No, but as I said, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
I'm sorry, my friend.
Sure, go ahead.
Sorry, my friend. As I said earlier, we all know that S&P always has a time lag. So we are delighted that they are about all the comments they've made, because that's the forerunner to a potential upgrade.
Sure.
The fact that they have a page upon page of praise for this government and the policies, and for that matter for the press also, I'm sure you've read that they have complimented India's strong democratic institutions and its free press, which promotes policy stability. So you are in for wholesome praise also, as is Prime Minister Modi and his government, and I think it's a matter of pride for all of India that there's almost no negativity in the whole report.
Okay,
the only negativity is that we have not yet reached the developing status, and which obviously will take some time.
Yeah, we were just wondering, was there a case for at least an outlook change? But my larger question is, the Moody's upgrade along with the Piyush survey helped change the economic narrative over the last couple of weeks. What does this do? We are in the midst of a heated political season. There are elections around the corner. Does this sort of give some ammunition to your opposition? What does this do to the economic narrative, Mr. Goyal?
Well, I think 2 or 3 things. One, it reaffirms that the economy is strong, that all the measures taken by this government have been widely appreciated both in India and internationally, and it gives us the path to possibly an upgrade by S&P in the days to come, as is typically their fought with a time lag after Moody's. The big picture also is that it speaks about Narendra Modi's coalition, led by the Bharatiya Janata Party, has further consolidated power in state-level elections in 2017. So the big run-up from 6 governments to have 18 governments between 2014 to 17, the fact that the people of India have endorsed this government has been spoken about in this report in 2 places, and they've added, and we expect it to make further gains. So they recognize that the people of India are happy with the working of this government. They recognize that in the elections going forward, you will see more and more governments changing to Bharatiya Janata Party. And in a later part of the report, they have said that while in the upper house, the BJP does not have a majority at present, but given the successes in election after election in the states, and the likely elections in the future, one can comfortably predict that even in the upper house, the BJP will soon have a majority. I think all of this is a huge endorsement for Prime Minister Modi and the government. It is an endorsement that the people of India and internationally both are happy with the performance of this government. And as they say, the NDA has been doing well in 2017 state-level elections, and is forecast to make further gains at this level, which could eventually lead to a majority in the upper house, which means they recognize that with a majority in the upper house, you'll see even more transformational reform, even better performance of the Indian economy, and good governance combined with this kind of fiscal performance is surely portends very good future for the country.
Indeed, and on that very, very positive note, we are keeping our fingers crossed for an upgrade that I hope will come from Fitch, but nonetheless, it's positive commentary on you and your government. Can't thank you enough for taking time out and talking about the rating status quo, even though the commentary, of course, is very good. Thank you very much, Mr. Goyal, for being with us right here on ET Now.
Thank you.